Man,
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? 15 people in here already. Sorry we're running a little behind, but we in here with you. Welcome to the Buckeye Roast every morning at 8 a.m. or sometimes 8:07 a.m. So, but good morning, man. What's going on? I gotta give my shout out. Let me see. Wayne was the first one in here. So Wayne, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you tuning in. We had a good weekend, had a great show yesterday with Cam. Chris Drew stopped by. I see him in the chat. But remember, if you're the first one to chat in here, you will get a
Who
shout
had a
out.
good weekend, nigga? I've been sick as fuck since Friday and have not eaten solid food in days.
Me and everybody in the chat, Chris Drew, we had a good weekend.
I was gonna say your boy ain't have no good
Well,
weekend at all.
yours has continued to this morning. You woke up like hell. Oh man, that's too funny. But yeah, man. So today, y'all, obviously put your questions in there. Got something to talk about. We want to talk about, obviously, we should, after this season, for me, and this is my show time. I took this over. Ron Sale sideline. I want to ask: is there gonna be is there a Canoe King of the North like permanently? And does Ohio State drop off after this season? So we're going to talk about how many draft picks are on this team. First of all, the rise of Penn State, they're up and coming. So we want to talk about that. And then obviously Michigan, they won the last two. They hold the spot. We're trying to take that back this season, but will we be able to do that? And if we are not with the talent or the mass exodus, will it be a little bit before we get back to the top? So that's what I want to talk about. Let me know in the chat. Good morning, y'all. I see Posh in here. Good morning, Posh. I see Sue. Mello's in here. So let's get it going. So Ron, how are you doing, mister? I've been struggling all weekend.
I feel like shit, but I'm here, so let's get it going.
That's the most important thing. So let's start. First of all, also Edric Houston. Let's plug that. Edric Houston is Tuesday.
Tomorrow, yep.
Okay,
Tomorrow's a big day, I know Q had a little bit of trouble finding this, but Ryan Day does have a press conference tomorrow. We were in our pre-production for 20 minutes, and I asked Q to do one thing, find out when Ryan Day's next press conference was. He couldn't find it. I searched Ryan Day press conference on Twitter. It was literally the first tweet. So if you need quick information, don't ask this man Q.
Who tweeted that out?
WSN, Wagon Sports 1.
Bro, they
shout out to them.
Okay, all right, whatever. They didn't show up on mine.
And look, there's Sue saying the pressers today.
Well, thank you, Sue. Thank you, Sue, because Twitter let me down. But man, let's jump into this. So yeah, okay. So Ryan Day's pressers today. We're gonna find out who the quarterback is. Are we gonna find out who the quarterback is, Ron? Is that what we getting today? Are we finally?
I mean, it's the 21st. He normally names it after the second scrimmage, so I think we're getting a quarterback today. Or you stick? Who is your prediction for quarterback? I mean, we're one day away. I mean, I went back and forth between. Okay, so yeah, they talk at 11:30 this morning, so we'll know here shortly if they're announcing. So, I was on the Cal McCord train for 6-7 months. I sent the meme of from Titanic floating out in the water with me and Mike on Cal McCord Island. I think we're going down with the ship like Ocean Gate, but we're riding it out to the end. We'll find out today. If Devin Brown's the guy, we're behind him, and we're definitely going to support him. I'm fine with whoever the quarterback is. I think quarterback play is going to be fine regardless of who they name. I'm obviously going to support whoever it is. I really don't have a quote-unquote dog in the fight. Just for the storyline, I'd love to see Marv and Kyle play together. But, I mean, if Ryan Day, quarterback whisperer says that Devin Brown is the guy, then Devin Brown is the guy.
Nah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm thinking it's Devin Brown. And obviously, if it is Devin Brown, the beat is really cooked here. So ain't nobody sweating more in these next 2 days than them. Obviously, with the stands they took, and we talked about that yesterday. If you weren't there yesterday, go check out that show. It was a banger. It was a great time. But yeah, I think it's Devin Brown. I'm rolling with it. If it's the talent is close, like I said, he played the younger Obviously, Devin Brown's athletic, things like that, because we don't want Lincoln Kineholz yet. He's a little too athletic right now. So yeah, I think Devin's the guy, and if he is the guy, hey, let's roll. It's time. So I think we'll get that answer today, and obviously then we'll have a big show to talk about tomorrow. And as soon as that's answered, me and Chris Drew are going to do our state of the program. So can't wait for that. If you're excited for that, we're going to scheme up some stuff and have a great time. So with that being said, this quarterback now, if it is Devin Brown, he does have the next 2 years. He's going to have to hold it down, and other schools have been coming up. So first, let's talk about how we're going to lead this. We're going to talk about draft picks. See how many draft picks is on this team. And then leading from there, we'll talk about the Exodus. And then we'll get into, are these other teams really catching us, passing us, where we're going to be at? So me and Ron started to debate before the show. We didn't even get into the show yet. We started debating for the show how many draft picks is on this team. So Ron, I'll let you take it. How many draft, and chat, let me know. How many draft picks, and not just first rounders, not just saying, I'm talking about players who are going to go away and get drafted in total, do you think are on this team? Ron, go ahead. You got a little list for me.
I have potentially 13. So I guess we'll play draft or back with these. Obviously, Marv is gone.
Draft.
Emeka, gone.
Draft.
Matt Jones, starting right guard. I think he's out of here.
Yeah, draft.
Donovan Jackson, starting left guard. Think he's out of here.
Draft.
Kyle McCord.
No, I don't think.
But is he out of here? Is he back next year?
I think he's gone. I think he's gone before next season. I think he's gone regardless. I think if he starts, he's gone. If it looks like he's not going to start, I think he's gone either way because he has to play. I mean, he can't sit here behind Devin Brown for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? He's got to play. So
the next one on this list is Travion Henderson, and obviously we all believe that he is going to go to the league.
What round is he? Henderson is not gone. Something went terribly wrong. So
what round do you think Trey goes in?
Right now, I would say if he comes back and let's say he's the same thing he was before. Let's say he doesn't make this super jump, but he's making explosive plays like he did his first year. He's catching the ball a little bit out the backfield like he did last year. Doing those things, I think he's probably still a third round pick, like second-ish, third-ish round. Now, if he takes a jump, it becomes what we're supposed to be. He could be a first-round pick, which is hard for running backs now to do. But I think if he really makes that jump like we think he is, I think he's a first-round pick, if not a first, a very high second.
Yeah, I don't know about first-round pick, especially with the difficulties that he had as a sophomore with injury issues. I know he was nicked up as a freshman, so I just think just with the injury history, I feel like second round is his ceiling.
But if you think too, like Travion, as athletic and strong as he looks, as like a physical freak, he's gonna go and he's gonna kill the combine. And that's the thing. We see so many players get drafted high when they didn't do much at all on the field in college, but they go to the combine, they put up crazy numbers. And I think he's probably sniffling. But yeah, Trey, I think he's gonna go there and he's gonna put up crazy numbers. I mean, I don't know where his 40 time is, but I would probably put he's gonna be maybe a high 4.4 guy at least, especially when he hits his top speed. So I think he's gonna go to combine. I think he's gonna cook, and I think that'll make him rise regardless of how good his play is on the field this season.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to be a combine warrior. He's definitely an athletic freak, and I think, he's going to put up something crazy in the 40. I think people forget how fast Trey is just because he was hurt last year, and I don't think we saw a lot of his top speed, but we'll see it this year.
Yeah, but like 12-foot broad jump, 52-inch vertical. He's going to do all that.
52-inch vertical, bro. Who do you think he is, JJ McCarthy?
Where they put the pole up, he's gonna hit his head on it. Yeah.
So the next name we have on this list is Mayan Williams. I have a question mark next to it, but the more and more I think about it, there's no way that Mayan doesn't get drafted.
I don't think there's
the last 3 rounds.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way he doesn't get drafted. I don't think there's any way he comes back. I mean, he had a decision. I thought he had a decision to make last season where I thought if he would have left, he probably would have got drafted. It would have been late, but he would have got drafted. I do believe. So I think Mayan is gone regardless, 4th year. you're not trying to be a fifth-year running back trying to make it to the NFL. It's just wear and tear on your body, especially the way he runs the ball. Doesn't necessarily avoid contact or run out of bounds. Like he's hitting people in every practice play and every game rep. So yeah, I think he's gone.
Our next guy, we're moving over to the defensive side of the ball.
But hold
We all know
on. You now. You not about to skip over Cade Stover like that. I'm not about to let you do that. So Cade Stover doesn't get drafted. I'm not. Yeah, I see you. I see what you trying to do there. We not even doing that. This guy plays tight end and wears number 8, who's a captain, who's gonna be in the NFL draft next season. Does Cade Stover get drafted? Ron, go ahead.
The NFL makes mistakes every year and drafts players that they shouldn't. So, of course, he's going to get drafted. I think, honestly, Cade might be a fucking 4th rounder. Like our boy Matt said, 3rd or 4th round. Like, good luck. I mean, I just don't see this guy making contested catches in the NFL. I think he will be an inline blocking tight end. I think they'll use him in the run game, but I don't see him getting open in the NFL.
All right. Add Cade Stover to your list so we keep count. So we make sure we have our right number.
I have Cade on the list. He was down at the bottom because I skipped him the first time making the list.
Put the defensive guy. You put him back at linebacker?
Yeah, I put him back at linebacker.
Okay.
He was recruited as a linebacker.
Another question on offense. We got 2 guys who potentially can have breakouts in my opinion. Good Lord, I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on.
I'm the one that's sick. What are you doing?
There we go. Sorry, I had to cough. I could not get it out. And maybe that tells me I'm picking the wrong.
Got the Buckeye flu right now. Jeez.
I've had the same cough for like a week. Okay, my first one I'm gonna ask about is Evan Pryor. Now we heard a lot of hype about Evan Pryor last season. We don't know what to expect here. This is a mixed bag. So I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying he's gonna get drafted or even he's gonna leave.
He will be RB1 next year.
Yeah, because they said last year in camp he was an NFL player. So my question is Evan Pryor good enough to take snaps away from Mayan and really be that maybe second back and showcase that? Because we think Trey is going to be number 1, and if he does he leave and get drafted? So
right,
strictly based off potential here, my question is: do you think I would say 1 to 5? What's the potential you see Evan Pryor actually leaving?
0.
So you don't think at all he's not going to break out? He's not.
This is the TreVeyon Henderson show, and then it'll be a rotation of 4 backs behind him. Ryan Day has done nothing but pound the drum for TreVeyon Henderson this offseason. They've talked about Trey being the guy. Trey will be the guy. It will be the Trey show this year, and then next year you will see a rotation of Chip Trayanum, Evan Pryor, and Dallin Hayden. I think those 3 will carry the load next year.
Because I thought we were going to see – I didn't know who the 3 backs were going to be. I didn't know if Dallin was going to be able to crack it and jump in there. But I thought we were going to get that 3 running back rotation this season that we were supposed to get last season when we were healthy. And we didn't get that, and now we got 5. So I thought we were at least going to get 3 to give guys a chance. But fair enough. I mean, we don't know what he's going to do yet. And he hasn't been healthy. And I think you're right. Trey is going to be the feature back here. So my second person on offense who has the potential to break out, we've been talking about it for a long time, and this goes right behind your Cade Stover hate, is Joe Royer. Joe Royer will be a junior. We saw how Cade was featured last year. If you give Joe Royer those same targets, that kid might go crazy. So do you think even, I guess, best case scenario for Joe Royer, do you think he has a potential to leave and get drafted?
No, he doesn't have the film. He has an injury. He's been banged up during camp. He doesn't have much film from the past 2 years. I think he's still developing physically. I think he'll be a great tight end at Ohio State, but I think he'll be back next year.
Okay. All right. Those are my 2. All right. Now you can move to defense.
So let's move to defense. I have on the first person on defense is JTT. We all believe that he's going to be a draft pick. So I'm going to set the over-under at pick 23. Does JTT get drafted before or after pick 23 in the draft next year?
That's a good question. Where'd you get this number from? Vegas? God damn.
I'm good with it.
Shit, now I'm thinking. I think he will get drafted before. I think I think it's a disappointment a little bit if JTT is not at least in the teens, let alone a lottery pick, especially being the best player in the nation coming in. There's nothing wrong with being a first round pick, nothing wrong with even being a second, but I think he should be a monster this season, and I think he should be a very early pick, at least talking 10, 11, 12, 13 from what we've seen, and he makes a jump. So, or he has a dude opposite of him, so where he can really be featured in this pass rush and not to worry about double teams and chips and all that. So, I would say before 23. What about you? What y'all chat? What about you, Ron?
I have JTT going before 23. I feel like he's super underrated, and a lot of people are staring at that sacks number, and they're saying that he only did it against Penn State. Well, he has a whole nother season to do it again, so I think he'll show a lot more consistency. I think he'll put up the stats that people are looking for, and I feel like he will be a top 20 pick.
Okay.
So another guy that we talked about on yesterday's show, we went through the ESPN top 100 list, which was pretty ridiculous. And one of the most glaring omissions from the list was our guy Mike Hall, defensive tackle. He's playing a little bit smaller this year at 275, but I still think he's absolutely a game wrecker and will be an NFL guy. I know Aaron Donald was he was lighter when he came into the league. So where do you have Mike Hall going? Do you have him as a potential for? Do you think Mike Hall, despite being left off ESPN's top 100 list, do you think he'll be able to play himself into the first round this year?
Well, obviously, being off that list, Mike Hall's got a longer ways to go than I thought he did before. But yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. He's going to be a first-round pick. I mean, I think Mike Hall, as disruptive as he was interior, the thing about Mike Hall is going to be consistency. We know what he is when he's healthy and balling. Can he do that week in, week out? Can he not get hurt week in, week out? If he can, I put my money on if Mike Hall just stays healthy. Just stays healthy this season. Don't need to miss a game here, miss a game there. He's gonna be a first-round pick because when he's on the field, we see what he can do. So I think he's definitely gone. I think I would give him a better chance right now than Tyreek to be a first round pick. And I think Tyreek is going to be an absolute freak. And when he goes to the combine, regardless of how he plays this season, where he's consistent or not, I think he would do enough at the combine just to be a first round pick or in that realm. So I think Mike Hall is definitely a first round pick. If he's not, Larry Johnson owes him money. And we going back to like the Billy Davis days. Like, you owe Baron Brown the money. I don't know what to tell you. Write him a check. Because if Mike Hall's not a first round pick, write him a check. You owe him money. Like, it is what it is.
So the next name on the defensive side of the ball I want to get to is our guy, Denzel Burke. The hype around him was insane after his freshman year, had a little bit of a dip in his sophomore campaign. But do you see our guy Denzel bouncing back and being able to get out of here in 3 years?
Yeah, I think this is Denzel's last year, regardless. And before I get into that, we got 40 people in here this morning. First of all, we appreciate y'all. It's 8:25. We in here early. Like that video. Our videos do really well. If we get that 40 like mark, man, this video is gonna jump. So we appreciate you jumping in. Appreciate you keep waiting in the chat. I see Posh with the Natty season 2023. You know what we about. So let's go ahead and do that. But yeah, Burke, I think he's gonna be 3 and done, man. I mean, you start 3 seasons in a row. It's your time. Like the reason I like sometimes get upset a little bit with these guys just coming back and being here forever, because it's like, bro, this is Ohio State. Like, if you play 2 years and you're draft eligible, it's your time to go. Like, it's the next man up who's been working hard, who's been holding it down, doing the right things. This is their chance to shine. Denzel Burke has started for 3 years. You're gonna tell me he's gonna come back and be a 4th-year starter? Like, this is Ohio State. Like, what are we doing? You start for 3 years, you better be in the draft. Go be a 2nd-round pick. Go be a 1st-round pick. Like, that's the expectation.
But at what point do you, from a draft grade perspective, I mean, do you come back to Ohio State and try to be a first rounder? If you have a 4th or 5th round projection, you've only been here 3 years. Who cares what Q and Ron say on the show about whether or not, you should be out of here after 3 years or not? But like, for his own financial gain, he's gonna have a great. I mean, how much of a difference do you think NIL for a returning 3-year starter, a cornerback at Ohio State is versus 6th round pick in the NFL?
I mean, while I think, yeah, that money is very important and the smart thing to do would be to come back. The other side of that coin of what I thought about is holding that spot is we should have dudes behind Denzel Burke, where Denzel Burke is like, I can't come back. This is my season because if I come back, Jair Brown is going to catch me. If I come back, maybe Jordan Hancock, if he's still around, is going to catch me.
No, don't even do that. We're just gonna get into it right now. Don't even try to fucking hedge right there because
Here
Q
we
was on straight
I see.
bullshit. No,
Bro,
stop,
let's get
stop,
to
stop,
it.
stop,
Let's
stop,
get to it
stop,
when we
stop.
get to it.
No, this nigga was on straight bullshit this morning. It had me irritated before we even started the show because I'm trying to write the show, scramble last minute. I've been sick for fucking days trying to get the schedule ready. I'm asking Q to find me when Ryan Day's presser is, but no. Fuck Ryan Day's presser. This man wants to argue with me that Jordan Hancock is getting drafted this year. So I asked the chat, is Jordan Hancock getting drafted this year? Go ahead, Q. Tell the people why our backup nickel is going to get drafted.
Bro, first of all, there ain't no depth chart. We don't know if he's a backup nickel.
Okay.
Two, we've had a lot of hype for 2 seasons coming around about Jordan Hancock. A lot of hype for 2 seasons now. Last year they talked about, oh, Hancock's emerging. He's stepping up. Yada yada yada. And why was the secondary so bad? Oh, well, our corner depth was hurt. We don't have Jordan Hancock like we did in camp when he was balling out. That was all the hype. You're telling me another year, and they've been hyping up Jordan Hancock again this offseason. He's gonna play. Like there's no question.
I'm not doubting that he's gonna play, and I'm not doubting that he's gonna be an NFL player. I'm doubting that he's going to be in the NFL draft next year.
But you think about it. What are we
thinking about
presidents of? We've said this presidents of you come out, you start for a year. I think if it was me picking, I think Jordan Hancock should start along with Igbinosun and Burke. We don't know if that's not the case because he talked about repping inside. So if he's repping inside, that even gives him a better chance to start because we're like, ain't no way he started over Igbinosun on the outside. And we really doubt he started over Burke. If he starts at that slot where he said he's been repping where I thought he should have been this whole time, he does have a very good chance of getting drafted. Like, and also too, in what I was talking about before, the longer
go ahead.
Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't doubt that he could get drafted, but what is the value of him leaving if his draft projection isn't above a 4th round grade?
But that's saying he's gonna come out and play very mediocre-ish to good. Like if he comes out
saying he's gonna play mediocre-ish.
But I'm saying you think about it. Like Sean Wade was getting cooked before he went into the slot, or I want to say he was, but he wasn't playing well, especially after he ran to Rondale Moore at Purdue. That's all we remember about Sean Wade. He went into Jeff Hafley's defense, played that slot, and looked like a 1st round pick. If Sean Wade would have left, I'm not saying Jordan Hancock is Sean Wade, but I'm saying had that similar type of season, he could definitely be a 3rd rounder. And if you're a 3rd rounder, like, yeah, you could come back, but when you got other dudes on your heels, like I've been mentioning all this time, that's pressure to go. Players don't come back at Alabama. They be like, okay, I'm going to be a 4th round pick, but if I sit here and let Jair Brown catch me, if I sit here and let Jermaine Matthews catch me, or Calvin Simpson Hunt, or Ryan Turner, like all these other guys, I may be undrafted because I might not play next season. Like that's the pressure that should be at Ohio State. And I think Chris talked about it on his show. He was like, guys are just hanging around and holding up spots, and that's not the way it should be, especially when you're pulling the amount of talent you do at Ohio State. The pressure is you need the ball this season and you need to go. So does he have a chance? He could come back next season, technically be the outside corner, be QB1 or CB, probably CB2 because Igbenous is coming back. But does he have a chance to get drafted? I think he does if this defense is what we think it will be and he gets the opportunity we think he's going to get.
Well, if you're so confident that he's a 1st rounder, bet something. Bet your eyebrows. Bet your eyebrows.
I did not say
if you really believe in him, if you believe in him, if you're so confident, bet your eyebrows then. Bet your eyebrows.
I did not say 1st.
All right. See,
you know what?
Now you got to put something on the line. It's easy to just say something on the pod, but when your eyebrows is on the line, it's a lot harder to really say what you mean.
No. Here we go. If Jordan Hancock does not leave and get drafted, I'll buy you dinner. Yeah, how about that?
And
I'll lose eyebrow. I'll buy you dinner. Everybody's happy.
All right. We might be able to settle on dinner.
Okay, but that's fair.
So we're still on the defense. Holy shit, we
Yeah,
got a lot of people
we
potentially
got
being drafted.
plenty of people to go.
All right, so we're on to my guy. So this will be an easy question for you. Let me know in the chat, guys. Will Tommy Eichenberg be the first pick in the draft next year?
No, but Tommy will get drafted. I think Tommy has a good chance to be a mid-round pick. I think honestly, with Tommy's recruiting ranking being very low, him being a very developmental guy, if Tommy comes out and he's a third, fourth round pick, I think that's awesome. He's not going to be a combine warrior. He's not going to go in there and run a 4.2.
What?
He's not about to go in there and just tear up. Maybe strength. He might throw up 30 on the bench. He look like
If
a
Tommy
strong
has a
dude.
fresh fade going into the 40, I think he runs at least the 4.28.
Okay, but all seriousness, chat. If Tommy is let's say he's an early fourth round pick, is that a win for Ohio State and a win for Tommy Eichenberg coming in and being even, or let's say a late third round pick? So he's a late third, early fourth. Is that a win for Tommy Eichenberg and this Ohio State development? I think it is.
All jokes aside, I think Tommy is absolutely a third round pick minimum.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
I think he'll have a great season this year. I think he really is going to be smacking people out there. He's a leader on that defense, despite not saying anything. I'm not sure how he calls the defense with grunts. I guess they have to put a translator on there for him for when he's calling the defense. But no, I'm excited for Tommy. I think he has a big year ahead of him, and for a guy that struggled, especially in 2021, I don't think at the end of the 2021 season, Tommy Eichenberg thought he would be an NFL pick, and now he's a Heisman contender. So it's great to see the development that we're seeing now that we got Al Washington out of here. So, big shout out to Tommy. And then our last guy that we have on defense, Lathan Ransom.
Yeah, I think Lathan Ransom gets drafted. I think last season, if he would have left right before Michigan and just I don't know if he would have sprained his ankle or something and missed those last two games, I think he had a good chance to be I would probably say a third, fourth round pick. Because he played so well, I think he will, obviously make up for that. He changed numbers, yada, yada, yada. I think he'll be back, and I think he could be I think he'll at least be a fourth round pick. I think so. I don't know if he has the numbers to pop and actually go tear up the. Yeah, because you think about it, players in second. I've seen. Where did what's the dude that went to Bama? He's supposed to come to Ohio State with the Bama. Jordan something. Safety. Jordan Battle. Wasn't Jordan Battle like a third round pick? I think Jordan. Sure. Yeah, I think Jordan Battle wasn't to a third round pick, so fourth is no slight. But I think he'll be a mid round pick. And correct me if that's wrong. Somebody let me know. It was Jordan Battle third round pick. But yeah, I think a fourth for Lathan Ransom or late third. I think that's a solid pick, and I think he will be gone regardless.
I think you're sleeping on Lathan. I think he might be one of the better safeties in the country this year.
But he's bouncing back after. I was say Jordan Battle could potentially be the best safety in the country, and he was a third. That's what I'm saying.
No, I hear you there. Yeah, I think Lathan definitely has an opportunity to go next year. I mean, I definitely think he's gone after this year. So, so let's run our total. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we're not counting.
We're missing some.
5, we're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What, you think there's more than the 12 we named? How many people we getting drafted? 22?
We didn't mention Tyleek.
He's not getting drafted, but go ahead.
Wow, that's a worse statement than that's worse than Jordan Hancock statement. You don't think Tyleek is getting drafted?
No.
Tyleek is an absolute freak show. First of all,
he can go to the combine.
He can go to the combine and strictly get drafted off the measurables he's going to put up. And I think if he starts this season, plays consistently, Tyleek is another dude people talk about could be a first round pick.
When has he been in shape and played consistently in the 2 years that he's been at Ohio State?
The thing is, it doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
They always talk about this. Oh, if Tyleek's in shape, all I see is dude walk out on Saturdays and ball out. So put him out, put him in the game. I don't care. Let him pass out there. You're gonna have to show me. Tyleek for sure is getting drafted on this team. I would add him. Steel Chambers. I think Steel Chambers is going to be a late round. No, so this is the thing with Steel Chambers. Like what we talked about before, Steel Chambers is gone regardless. So he's not coming back. He's going to be in the draft. So he won't be around.
He can put his name in. So was Ronnie Hickman. He told us 3 times.
Yeah, well, Ronnie Hickman played worse than Steel Chambers did at the end of the season last year. But anyway, I think Steel Chambers has a chance to get drafted. It's very real for him because CJ Hicks is here. So I think that's a caveat to him. If Steel Chambers is not playing like a fourth round pick, I think he gets his spot taken. This is just my point. If he's not playing like a fourth, at least fifth round pick, I guess in the NFL, he's getting his spot taken. So he does have a chance now to get drafted, but he's also gone. We didn't mention Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer should be getting drafted. He should be, I would say, if I had to project, I don't think he's a first. I think he probably has a good chance to be a second or third. I mean, Zach Harrison was a third, and he had a quietly really good season last year. So that's no slight if Jack Sawyer is a third round pick. I mean, because of his recruiting ranking, I think people will look at it and be like, oh, that's a little bit disappointing. Yeah. But whatever. If Jack Sawyer is a second round pick, you'll take it.
Does Jack Sawyer get drafted higher than Zach Harrison?
That's a good question. I think Jack Sawyer is strictly going to depend on his sack numbers, and unfortunately, to say that, I think because he has JTT on the other side, he's going to have to go crazy. He's going to have to be 8-sack guy. Like he's going to have to lead a team in sacks. I think if he does that, he does have a good chance to even push it his way. Maybe try to get into the first round. But I think his sack numbers, unlike JTT, are going to have to be crazy for him to go that high. People are going to cut on the film and be like, "This dude JT is an absolute monster. He's getting chipped. He's getting double teamed, like yada, 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 but he's causing problems." Jack Sawyer is going to get those one-on-ones, especially with this interior pass rush. So I think the most pressure is on him to get sacks and go crazy if he wants to have a pick that high.
Yeah, no, I think he's definitely going to have to step up the sack numbers. But if he's able to run those up, I feel like he'll be able to step into the draft. I can't believe I missed that when I was putting together the list this morning.
Are you good?
Very last minute of me.
I may have not found the presser, but I know who's getting drafted and who's not.
Well, your boy needs to go blow his nose, preview this last topic, and I will be right back.
Okay. So with this little mass exodus we're going to have, I think there is going to be a talent drop off at Ohio State. And we'll probably talk about it a little more later, but what's the team going to look like if all these players, everybody plays well, Ohio State wins the natty, all that. Yeah. All right, which I believe we will. We'll talk about that state of the program. Also, we got 50 in the room, like Wayne said, man. Like that, man. We get the 50 likes, video really go crazy. We appreciate y'all weighing on this one, chat. This is for y'all. So, mass exodus. Let's say Ohio State takes a little step back, and we're not, especially with the recruiting rankings. Me and Chris talked about it ad nauseum. I don't think we were recruiting quite yet. Maybe we are now in 2024. We're getting back there, especially after what happened in 2023. I think this talent takes a little bit of a step back. Hopefully, development is there, but I think this opens the gate for not only Michigan, who's already here. They're already here. They won it back to back. This is supposed to be the best team, ever in history. I think this team as a total, and not just a position group, I think this team as a total at Ohio State has a chance to take a step back. The wide receiver is going to be crazy, but outside of that, I think they take a step back. And does this make it time for Michigan or Penn State to become that new king of the North permanently, not just for a season, not just for a season or two? I'm talking about take that spot. Now, they don't recruit like we do, so I think the overall talent of Ohio State is always going to be better than Penn State or Michigan, but those games sure do be close. So, will there be a new king of the North after this season? That is my question. So, Ron.
I couldn't disagree with you more on Ohio State taking a step back after this season.
Let me hear it.
I think this team, we talk about a youth resurgence on this team. It's been the topic of conversation on our channel for almost 2 weeks now, whether Devin Brown is going to lead a youth movement, or are we going to see guys like Malik Hartford, Jermaine Matthews, Sonny Styles, CJ Hicks. Outside of the offensive line, I don't see where your concern or belief that a step back is coming from Ohio State. So can you elaborate on that? Because I'm really not seeing, I know we just went through potential 14 draft picks, but at the same time, I mean, we're constantly talking about how good our young pieces are on this team. So I'm just would like for you to further elaborate on where you're seeing a step back coming from this team.
So I'm looking at this from a recruiting standpoint, right? Our 2021 class and the times around that is absolutely stupid loaded with talent. They're stupid loaded with talent. We've got the wide receivers. We've always going to have them. They're always going to be there as far as the defensive line. And also, too, we have the transfer portal. So this isn't all in recruiting. You can obviously go there and get a guy you missed out on, like we just did with Tyler Malone. So that's perfectly possible. But I think our recruiting has taken a step back. I don't think it's doing as well, especially on defense. Like we thought we were about to go on this mass defensive run in 2024 after Justin Scott. We was like, the hell happened? They stopped recruiting, blah, 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 blah. I think even with how crazy this 2021 class was, we just lost to Michigan back to back. Like as crazy talented as this team was last season, we still lost. As crazy talented as we were, that Penn State game came down to Marv and CJ just like, fuck it. We got it. So they're coming up. You talk about people talk about Penn State this year. Their team next year is the year. And people were talking about Ohio State could lose to Penn State possibly this year. I mean, some people going crazy and be in my DMs talking about 3 losses, but I don't think it's going to happen at all. But Chris and Zach talked about it. They said they're worried about this team right here. This team right here is going to be better than the team next year. So I think this is, as overall talent on this roster, I think it takes a step down a little bit. Yeah, we got Sonny Styles. Yeah, we got CJ Hicks. But Sonny Styles and CJ Hicks were the gems of that class. It wasn't like there was 8 or 9 guys and we're like, oh shit, can't wait till they roll in. Then we talk about last year, 1 5-star comes in, Brandon Ennis. Outside of that, it was a lot of misses across the board. So if we are struggling with the amount of talent we have on this roster now I think this team takes a step up, is a better team than last year and wins a natty, but now we have that mass exodus. But if we were struggling then, you talk about 3 5-stars maybe on the team next year.
But it's not all about 5 stars. You have Jelani Thurman, who's a tank, who wasn't a 5-star. Every single one of our wide receivers could have arguably been a 5-star. Evan Pryor is a 5-star running back that's going to be back. Like, I'm just not seeing it. CJ Hicks is replacing Still Chambers. We're going to see Jermaine Matthews potentially get on the field. Malik Harford potentially get on the field. Kenyatta Jackson is arguably the most twitched up defensive end on this team. Caden Curry is a fucking game wrecker. Our interior defensive line is deep as all hell. Jason Moore looks like the mountain out there. Gabe Powers is a top 100 player. You're acting like we got Michigan's recruiting class in the past 2 classes. Our past 2 classes are top 5 classes.
And I'm not saying that our talent is going to be the same as them, but it would seem like if they're beating us on the field and our talent was miles better than them, they're developing at a higher clip. And I know you're saying we're gonna have 5 stars. We got guys around the field. I mean, we got guys around the field at this high talent level now, but it seems like we aren't gonna have as much talent as we have now. We've already had these guys. We have these crazy receivers and all that, and we still lost. Like we still have lost back, and that's for both seasons. We're more talented than Michigan and still lost. And I think us not recruiting as a clip even makes it harder. Like, yeah, we talk Gabe Powers. Haven't seen Gabe Powers yet. Gabe Powers is still sitting behind.
Call me Heismanberg. Who do you want him to play over the number 1 Heisman candidate?
We don't know. But do you think about it? We don't know if he's going to play this season. We have Reed Carrico, top 50 recruit. We ain't seen him in a while. I mean, or if ever. We don't know if we'll ever see him. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So just because we have a few guys that we have as these gems, we were questioning, and we talked about in the youth movement, are we ever going to see these guys? Ever going to see them go ball?
So outside of offensive line, what is your biggest concern on next year's team then?
That's a good question.
Because, I mean, if Devin Brown is who we believe is the starting quarterback, we're going to be talking about the number 1 player in all of On3, Devin Brown, 5-star quarterback in year 2 with the most loaded wide receiver room in the country, 3 experienced running backs, one of the best secondaries in the country. I can promise you that next year. And CJ Hicks at linebacker, Sonny Styles on that defense, and Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson on the edges. I'm just not seeing where this step back is coming from.
So you don't think the
no, answer the question. Where is your concern on next year's team outside of offensive line? Which is the same concern we have for this year.
I have a major concern.
So then where is your reasoning for a step back for this team coming from?
What do you mean? I don't think the talent on this team, like, while I don't have a major concern, like,
which position room takes a step back? If you're saying as a whole the entire team takes a step back, give me one position room outside of offensive line that you feel comfortable saying is going to take a step back in 2024.
The question is, let's see. Okay, so I think if I'm thinking secondary, there's a possibility for a step back there after this season. I think a little bit. Now, we don't know what Jermaine Matthews, those guys are, Malik Harford. they're all young. They're just walking in the door. So I think potentially you will have Sonny Styles back. You will have Igbenogson back. Hancock might be gone. I think secondary could take a step back. I think defensive line will take a step back next year. JTT, Mike Hall, Jack Sawyer, those guys. These new dudes, they're gonna have to prove that they are gonna be as good. If these guys are as good as we think they will be this season, ain't no way in hell you walking out there next season with 4 guys who would be potential first round picks. I just don't see it. As good as they can be, and they
Did you
can
just
be
say
good.
that you think who are the 4 first round picks on our defensive line? Go ahead, say it.
Bro, Mike
say it.
Hall can be a first round pick.
Go ahead,
Jack
say it.
Sawyer can be a first round pick. JTT, we pretty much wrote him in.
No,
as a
say the
first round
last
pick.
name.
Huh?
Say the last name.
JT Tuamola.
No. Who is the 4th person on our defensive line that you think will be a first round pick?
Leak Williams.
Jesus Christ, this is a family program, and you're on here smoking dick at 8 a.m. That's fucking crazy,
bro.
But shout out to our guy Too Cool for the super chat. It says negative. Our offense is on par to still be number 1. We are more like Kansas City in the NFL. Okay, defense, still able to win. Styles, Hicks, and KJ will be superstars on D. I feel like you're discounting some of the guys that will be playing this year that are still going to be back next year.
Bro, I'm telling you, defensive line. I don't even know if offensive line is particularly gonna. I mean, actually, yeah, they probably will take a step back. So I'll give that. They probably will take a step back. Defensive line is taking a step back. Like it's like who are we kidding? See, even Chris, the defensive line is definitely taking a step back. Do you think our linebackers will be better next year? I mean,
no, you can't replace a guy like Tommy Eichenberg.
Let's say if Gabe Powers or I guess Reed Carrick, like we ain't got no linebacker. We don't recruit linebackers other than that. So that's all we got. If one of them is as good as we think they could have been, maybe they could take a step up. But CJ Hicks will be there. But outside of that, we don't even know who he's going to be playing next to. So I think secondary for a year could take a step back. I mean, all those guys will be sophomores. We're going to see who pops and who doesn't. I think there's potential for this team to take a step back in certain areas, though we have the names. And yeah, it sounds like we can name a bunch of guys. That's cool. They actually got to show it. I mean, we could have named guys 2 years ago, and that team just lost to Michigan. So it's like there's potentials for step back on this team. I think Devin Brown will be solid. Are we going to have another Travion Henderson next year? If he's as hyped as we've been hyping him all off season, are we going to have another Travion Henderson next year? Or we're like, that guy is a first round pick? Because that's what we're saying. We're saying, oh, Trey can be a first round pick. Are we going to have a first round pick at running back next season?
So before we get out of here, let's tell a fun recruiting story. Okay. 3 years ago, we had 2 spots open at running back. We were recruiting 3 running backs and told them the first 2 to commit can have the spots. Who were the 3 running backs?
Evan Pryor, Donovan Edwards, Travion Henderson.
Who was the first person you said?
Evan Pryor.
And who's the second person that you said?
Donovan Edwards.
So you're telling me when Tony Alford took Evan Pryor and didn't wait on the recruitment of Donovan Edwards, he thought Evan Pryor was just a throwaway piece? Of course, Evan Pryor.
100%. I believe that Ohio State believed they were not going to get both Travion Henderson and Donovan Edwards. I think that was
why not? Donovan Edwards has sat behind Blake Corum, a running back that he's better than his entire career, and is going to continue to do it. So much so that they're having this man cross-train at slot receiver because they will not take workload away from Blake Corum.
What I'm saying, so when they were recruiting
Donovan Edwards would have played more at Ohio State behind Travion Henderson than he would Blake Corum,
No, I agree in the way Ohio State would have used him, but they told Donovan Edwards and they're recruiting him like, hey, you could be the only person and we'll shut it down. That's how much belief they had in Donovan Edwards. He didn't want to do it. I believe they thought if they went for 2 running backs, they weren't going to get him. So, but that begs the question. Is Evan Pryor Travion Henderson? Do you think he's going to be just as good as Trey? And we're questioning if Trey is going to be a first round pick, but we're clearly saying Trey is the guy. I think
Dallin Hayden and Evan Pryor could be a top 5 running back duo in the nation next year.
Understandable, but that can still be a drop off if Trey is what we think he is.
So what do you think our running back room is this year? Top what in the nation? I don't think we're top 5. I mean, you could argue that we're not.
It really depends on how good Travion
You could
Henderson
argue
is.
that we're not top 3 in the Big Ten.
You can.
There's
You can argue
there's
that.
teams that would argue that. So I mean, I don't.
Braylon Allen at Wisconsin. So what I'm saying is, if we think Trey's the guy, we don't think Evan Pryor is going to leave and has the potential to get drafted after this season. If Trey is the guy, let's say he's a second round pick, we walk in the next season with Evan Pryor starting. Evan Pryor is going to have to be enough to match being a second round pick. Can he do it next season? Yeah, he has potential to do it. He can be as good as really he wants because he has all the talent. But will he be Trey? And none of us have thought since Evan Pryor's got here he was going to be Trey. So they walked in the door, we're like, oh, we got Travion Henderson and Evan Pryor. So for him to match that level, I don't know if he can. See, he can prove me wrong. I'll be happy to see him do it. And also, too, let me not get away with this. We lose Marv and Emeka. As good as this recruiting has been, you talk about next season, will there be a Marvin Harrison Jr. lining up after Marvin Harrison Jr. walks out that door? That is a very good question. As good as these freshmen are, all potential
Okay,
too,
and
they can all be first
let's
round
gather all of the clips of people asking the same thing when Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave left.
Garrett Wilson
Doubting whether or not Marv would be able to step in and do the exact same thing in Emeka.
my question is, in the last couple of years, has Marv even, especially coming off this season, has he even more eclipsed the allure of those guys? When people talk about Marv, they say he could be a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL in like 2 seasons. Like, that's the level of hype Marv is getting. And I'm not saying he was better than Garrett Wilson here. He still has a level to go. But I'm talking about the hype train, the more
we have the greatest wide receiver recruiting class ever as freshmen right now, and we're adding freak show Jeremiah Smith to that room. I don't like Marv and Emeka could leave. We're not dropping off a wide receiver, even without those guys. Will we have a single freak show that's giving the complete production that Marv is and be the best wide receiver in the country next year? Maybe not, but as far as top to bottom, the room's still going to be top in the country. So whether the room is carried by a singular first top 5 pick in, an Emeka Ibuka who's a late first rounder, or whether it's a bunch of sophomores that are going to be first rounders in a year, I think that room is going to be beyond stacked whether we have a Marv or not, and possibly even more balanced because we have people that fit more traditional wide receiver roles, and it's not going to be people moving around where, Emeka's at the Z, then he's in the slot. We have these guys moving around so much. I feel like a lot of these guys are getting defined roles, understanding where they're going to play in this offense. We see Carnell repping at X. We see Noah Rogers repping at X. Brandon Ennis is already in the slot. Jeremiah could come in and take someone's spot. We have Jaden Ballard coming back, another freak show burner on the outside. Despite Marv leaving, especially, you know what I mean? How much more are these wide receivers, if Devin Brown's the quarterback, going to benefit off of having a quarterback for 2 years in his second year with younger wide receivers versus a more experienced wide receiver with a younger quarterback?
I'm with you we have all the talent in the world in the wide receiver group. It's just a difference between having it and going out there to do it. When Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave left, and obviously we unfortunately get the chance to see JSN last season because it would have looked different. But we were like, oh, we got Emeka, we got Marv coming in. Bro, we rolled into that Penn State game last year without Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. And we left that game like, shit, we ain't got 3. We got 1. We got one dude who can beat man coverage. We got one dude who actually looked like he was going to be a first rounder out there. And the other 2, I was out there with a magnifying glass looking for them half of the game. I think I saw Emeka once on a deep ball, and that was it. So these guys can be as talented as they want to be.
Did you just compare last year's class to the 2022 wide receiver class?
No, man. The 22 wide receiver class, they're cooked, man.
Those were the people that you were referencing not being able to come in and step up. It's not the same with these guys.
We walked out there with Marv, Julian, and Emeka. They were balling out each and every week. We don't get tested like that in the Big Ten. We walked out there and you've seen the difference as well in the Georgia game. We walked out there and we looked at a secondary that was real, and they was like, Yeah, all right, try that shit out here. You put 500 yards up against Indiana, that's cool.
And
Welcome
we
to
were
Penn
about
State.
to win the game until they knocked Marvin Harrison Jr. out. What are we talking?
But
Did we watch the
I'm
same
just
game?
saying, when Marv left the game, you saw the drop off. I mean, they were like, "Oh, we don't have to worry about
Because
Marv."
we didn't have a generational wide receiver class sitting
But that's
behind
what
him.
I'm saying, though. We're like, we hype up like Marv is a dude who he's different, bruh. He's clearly different than what everybody else is on this team, and we know that. And Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, they were different when they walk out the
But what I'm
door.
saying is the wide receiver room is not going to take a step back because the distribution of skill isn't going to be so centered around one superstar. The floor of the room is going to raise, even if the ceiling may come down a little bit lower, the floor is absolutely going to come up. So if you were to lose a superstar like a Carnell Tate, like a Jeremiah Smith, or one of the top end wide receivers in the class, the floor is so high in that class that you're not going to see that drop off that you saw in the Georgia game when you lose a guy like Marv, because the offense is not going to be so dependent on one singular wide receiver.
I mean, I hope so, because I don't feel like we have one right now. We talk about we have two, the two best in the nation right now. That's what every ranking board's telling you and all that. But I'm just like, when things get real and you battle and you start to play against other first rounders on the opposite side of the board and you see what you can do, it's like, all right, let's see who out here is really real. Marv, to me, last season was the only one to really prove that when we needed him, he was the guy. Emeka filled in. He played off Marv. He benefited a lot from Marv. And as talented as these young guys are walking in, we know some of them aren't going to play here. We know some of them will be rotation players. And we hope some of them are going to be that Marvin Harrison Jr. alpha dog. We can give Jeremiah Smith all the hype in the world. I think Jeremiah Smith could be the best player to play here, just strictly based off talent. But it's a difference between saying that and then doing it. Like we're projecting basically that these guys are going to be those guys. We did the same thing last year with Emeka and Marv. We said, "Oh, we'll be fine. Those guys will be Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson." Come to find out, really one of them was, the other one wasn't. Julian Fleming wasn't. Other guys wasn't. They can be this year. They still have time.
Julian Fleming was one of them?
No, I said he wasn't. But he would have been a guy where like, oh, Julian's back next year. He's going to be healthy. Like he's going to be a first rounder like everybody else. And he wasn't. So then they can still be that. So I'm just saying, let them go prove it first before we say, oh, we'll be fine. We'll just roll in next year. Like, so that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying let them prove it first before we give them this hype. Because the floor is high. The floor can be high as you want. We walk out against a Georgia secondary. It's like, oh shit, that floor is high, but these dudes look real on this other side. Let's hope our guys can get open.
So I want to shout out Too Cool. He sent multiple super chats today.
Appreciate this one. Sorry, I'm on my little rant, but
I think next year makes best wwide receiver core to be assembled if we land Jeremiah Smith. I agree. That's a point that I hammered home. I just want to take a minute to apologize to any Penn State fans that are in here watching the show and got tricked by the graphic and thought we were going to do a deep segment on Penn State. We are running short on time, and your boy has to get to work ASAP. But we are going to have a special Penn State guest on here at the end of the week to preview their team and what to expect for the next 2 years from Penn State. So that'll be something to look forward to this later this week. Appreciate everyone pulling up today. Make sure you smash that like button. Q, let the people know where they can find you.
I appreciate y'all coming through for this little discussion we had. I didn't know it was going to turn into that, but that was definitely
a good ones.
We should shoot the ones with the chat as well. Hey, appreciate y'all. I have it right here. City Boy Quentin on Twitter. Flying Josh on Instagram. Minor League Films here. Let me get around so we can get out of here. Hey, I appreciate you, chat. Like that video. Got 50 people in here. Let's get it bumping. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Go ahead, Ron.
Make sure you guys smash that like button. You can find me on Twitter at 2_TEES. That's 2 T's. You can find me on Twitch at the same thing. TikTok 2Shiesty. Here every morning for the Buckeye Roast at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. Tomorrow we'll be doing a live stream for the Edric Houston announcement. Who knows? We could be talking about a starting quarterback. Hey, we might even have an emergency show today if they announce a quarterback. Well, Ryan Days is at 11 o'clock, so make sure you tune in to Menace and get all of your information about what's going on with this quarterback battle if they announce it here at 11:30. So appreciate everyone pulling up, and thank you guys. We will see you tomorrow for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. Out.
Run my own time.